Welcome to my Grand Archive tier list for the current deck meta. It is only including the Altar Dawn of Ashes within what we're considering here. And we're just going to go over my thoughts of what decks are currently the strongest as we go into Fractured Crown, what decks are the weakest, and what could be used to improve them in this new set. In addition, we'll give each champion an overall rating. So we will go by 3 elements and then an overall rating. Once again, I just want to say this is a subjective tier list. I'm not preaching hard facts, but I am saying from my time playing this game and viewing all the tournaments and what people are talking about, this is pretty much what we'll get at. So we'll start with the elephant in the room. We're going to start with Lorraine and fire Lorraine just immediately into S tier. The amount of kill cards she has and combo pieces in this element, I'd probably say is the best deck of this current format. It can kill on turn 3 if played properly and your opponent does not level up, and there's a lot of different routes you can take. You can go long game, you can go aggro. It's just too many options. Secondly, we're going to throw up Wind Lorraine into the S tier as well. The amount of tempo she can bring with the Ascension combo into drawing 2 cards for the price of 1 is really good. A lot of people are currently playing this value version of Lorraine, just killing your opponent with Phalanx Captains casting for free, and you just have too many cards. You're set up with a Veiling Breeze that people can't get past. It's too good. And then this third Lorraine, which is going to be Water Lorraine, it's very near and dear to my heart. It's currently what I'm playing. I love this deck. It's much more controlled version, but I'm going to slide it into the A tier here. It is just missing good cards that allow it to outshine the other 2 versions of Lorraine. It has the weakest cleave card in the game. It has insane defensive capabilities, but missing the burst that Fire Lane provides or the free value that Wind Lorraine has. Secondly, we're gonna go on to Rye, another big starter deck guy. Fire Rye, I'm going to put up there slightly above Wind Lorraine, as I feel like he has favorable matchup into Wind Lorraine. He just sort of levels up and then kills you, or Lorraine can get into the combo, and Veiling Breeze doesn't really save you unless you have a massive amount of cards. You hit everything. Currently, the best build is just going pure arcane and throwing as much as you can into getting it. Secondly, we're going to go into Wind Rye, and I'm going to throw this at B tier. I know a lot of people are experimenting with it. I've tried my hand at it, and I just feel like Wind Rye is not good. It's missing something, a key component, and I think that's just in the mage class cards in Wind. They don't have anything that's a wow factor. You still just rely on arcane, and fire does it a lot better. And lastly, Water Rye, I'm putting down here at C tier. I feel like mages in water were really shafted. They didn't get much, and the cards they did get, everyone is already running it in normal water build, so there's nothing special about it. Can stall, but once again, your win con is just going to be arcane. And if you're playing for arcane, just play Fire Rye. We're gonna go to the third level 3 champion, and we're looking at Xander. I really do like Fire Xander. I'm putting it in A tier. I think it's super strong, it's aggressive, and it has a chance for big burst turns. In addition, you can also run that Luxem package for some late game healing or that extra ping damage from Lightweaver's Assault. I just don't think it can outpace Wind and Fire Lorraine, and it loses to Fire Rye because it has no cards or mechanic to save itself from just big one-hit damage. But it's still very aggressive, very strong, and that's what you currently need right now in the meta. Next is Wind Xander. I'm going to throw it at C tier, right above Water Rye. You're just missing something in Assassin. In Wind, you get some really cool level 2 attacks, but after that, you're really just doing nothing. Xander's passive of getting +1 attack to rested units is really cool, but it's just unfortunate that you have Ryes who don't tap down, and Lorraines who are, when they are swinging, you will be dead that turn or the next turn, and that extra 1 damage doesn't add up. I feel like once they get a little bit more support, then they'd be able to do something. Lastly, we have Water Xander, and I feel like this is a deck that a lot of people have slept on. It's right below S tier. I think if it does a couple more good showings at larger events, and people learn how to play it, I think this deck's really good. The stall potential is insane in this deck. The card Shrouded Mist, the one that reduces by 2 if you're an assassin to give everything stealth, is very underrated. It can shut down a Lorraine turn instantly if Lorraines aren't careful. The only thing that is wary about it is it does die to an early aggression start. It needs to hit level 3 as soon as possible with Dungeon Guide, and if it doesn't, you get taken apart by an aggro deck. So that's why it's in A tier, because the 2 decks up there, both Lorraines, will utterly destroy it by just the speed and value of the deck. Sylvie is in such a weird spot. It was a afterthought in the set. It was a Kickstarter goal, so she's not as strong as the other decks because of that, I believe. In Fractured Crown, she's getting insanely buffed. Tamers are getting everything they need, and I think they'll be viable. But right now, I think Wind Sylvie is your best bet, sitting at the bottom of A tier. But I wouldn't recommend really running the Monkey. I feel like that's kind of a trap. Pride 5 right now with the cards we have is very difficult to reach unless you have the setup. But the better animals are in Wind right now. Next one is going to be Fire Sylvie. I'm going to put it in B tier above Wind Rye. I think the deck's okay. Same problem as Wind Sylvie is your big swinger. Your Blazing Direwolf is a Pride 5 creature, and it's just a very awkward number to hit. And then Water Sylvie. I really like water as a element in the game, but Water Sylvie is counterintuitive to itself. Your big win con is a snake that gets plus attack for each water card in your graveyard. However, the tamer spells are all defensive, so the only viable option for that snake is to run mill, but at that point you're risking milling the cards you actually need to stay alive in water, and you just die to aggro. All Sylvies die to aggro, and your Terra package is not good. They really printed lackluster Terra cards, and it's unfortunate. The saving grace for Water Sylvie is going to be Blue Slime, and with Fractured Crown coming out and the new gives taunt to an ally, Blue Slime will become better, and I think that will be a menace to deal with. Now we're going to level 2 champions, and we're going ahead and start with Alan. I know a lot of people are talking about Fire Alan. I would say he would be here on A tier, but he's too inconsistent, so I'm going to put him top of B tier, just because the Erupting Rhapsody combo is cute. He can fetch it with his on enter level 2, but there's all these decks above them can deal with that, minus Sylvie, of course. But Sylvie will outpace Alan in that matchup. All these other 6 decks can deal with Alan before he hits that combo. He literally runs the Xander package, but with a little bit of beasts in it. Post sideboard as well with Nullifying Lantern, the whole deck shut off. You lose your combo, and you can't really rely on animals, and that's why Fire Sylvie's down there with him. Alrighty, and then we're going to go Water Alan. I'm going to put it slightly above Water Sylvie in B tier, for the reasons that it fetches your Melody card that makes your allies deal damage with their booties instead of their faces, but still faces the same problem Sylvie does, and you don't have the Terra package. And then Wind Alan, I'm just going to put top of C tier here. Wind Alan, I'm currently playing it in a sort of aggro rush, but your melodies just aren't that good. I understand they want you to like bounce the dog and get dog triggers, but there's not enough wind cards that are good for you to run. You have to be running neutral animals. Grey Wolf is a must. The squirrel is insane. The bird. So you lose a lot of value, and once again, Monkey is a trap for Alan. I would pass on running that. I'm having fun, but not that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to Tristan. Tristan's in the weirdest spot as a champion, I believe, just because of her ability. She wants to be untapped to gain counters so she can kill allies as she pleases, but the game doesn't go late enough for Tristan to be able to get enough counters to kill allies. And by the time there's an ally on the field that you want to kill, it's probably already killing the Tristan player. So with that, Wind Tristan, I'm putting in C tier. Water Tristan, I am putting in D tier, and Fire Tristan I'll put at the top B or bottom of B. It's just you run the assassin package like Xander minus the Luxem cards. So you just have that early aggression. You get access to Roaring Flame, the crit card, which is nice, but I don't really see doing much. You get shut down by every water deck. Next, we're going to go to Mordred. I just got to say, why play Mordred when you can play Lorraine at this point? There's no good payoff for Mordred's ability of your attacks getting floating memory. There is nothing that you want to materialize out of your deck for a lot, and it's hard to pitch cards into your bin for the floating memory. In Fractured Crown, Mordred's going to get a huge buff with a bunch of support, but right now in Dawn of Ashes, Mordred is very lackluster. So I'm just going to throw Mordred ahead of Tristan, and then just put Mordred's like above here. You could run the Win Lorraine package minus the Crocs, but you hit Mordred and then you peter out, and then Water Mordred's all right. All right, Merlin. Merlin is an interesting card. We do get a level 3 for Fractured Crown, but currently at the level 2, I feel like it's Ray but worse. The ability for her to remove floating memory from your opponent's graveyard is really nice, and she gains levels to be able to cast spells for free. So I think Fire Merlin is decent, and I'd actually put it top of B tier a little bit here, because you get access to Fireball, a bunch of good stuff that Fire Ray gets, just minus the Arcane package. It is slower though, and you can run the Rhapsody combo, but Fire Ray is just so much faster that Merlin feels unnatural to run. Alrighty, and then Water Merlin, suffering from the same thing Rai does in Mage, is just not good Mage cards. You have stall potential, but you have no kill. And Wind Merlin, I'm gonna same thing as Wind Rai, except you don't have the Arcane, so you have no kill power. Yeah, I'm gonna put Wind Merlin down at the bottom of D tier. I just don't think there's that many good Wind Mage cards that will win you a game. Taking a look at the tier list of what I currently have, I'm somewhat happy with it. B tier is kind of scuffed, but the clear 3 winners are in your S tier here: Fire Lorraine, Fire Rai, Wind Lorraine. These are the decks that if you want to be highly competitive in a tournament, you will play these, and you can almost guarantee a top if you are able to just read your cards and play them properly. A tier, I would say, are also very good decks. They're close behind, but you do have to think about playing a little bit. They do take decision trees. They aren't as autopilot-y as the top tier decks, which is nothing bad about it. It's just, if you make a mistake, you will be punished far more greatly than if you were playing an S tier deck. B tier, I think this is sort of the cutoff of viability. And honestly, I might drop some of these down. As I said, I'm 50-50 on it. Like, I might drop Water Sylvie and Water Allen down to C. But B tier is these decks may be able to take you to win a tournament or top 8 or top 4. But if you make a mistake, any of the top 7 decks will punish you for it, and you cannot come back. A lot of the B tier decks are gimmicky. They have their own sort of like combo piece that if it gets shut down, then that's it for you. You have nothing else to rely on or come back. C tier, this is where you get into, these are fun decks to play. They're interesting. They will not be winning you any events unless you have a miracle run against the best possible matchups you can, and you draw the perfect cards. Otherwise, these decks will just sit here and be knocked out. Maybe go 1-3, maybe go 2-1, but just missing that top cut. And then D tier is honestly wait till next set to play. You could play them now, but all these decks in D tier are just very worse versions of every deck above them. Even though you like that champion, that's all cool for supporting them, but if you wanted to be more competitive on it, I would go ahead and play a different version of the deck. In element wise, I do say Fire is the strongest element in the game. It has amazing kill cards, value engine for each class has something for them, and these staples is just keeps the deck going. Water is kind of all over the place. We got a lot of water decks on the bottom, some decks on top. Advanced element is what makes water decks good. And that's why we have 2 water decks in the A tier, is because Crux and Luxum are holding those up there because that's your win con. Water cards by themselves, very defensive, very strong, but they lack kill in water. They lack a good win con in water. So that's why you see a bunch of the other decks way below. And then finally, wind. I feel like wind is a strong element for value, but all the value is warrior specific. There is nothing for tamers or mages or assassins pretty much that say, wow, this card is insane. Warriors got a very special treatment in wind with Phalanx Captain, Tactical Sergeant. Even though it's not a class bonus, warriors will be attacking a majority of the time. Hurricane Sweep. Warriors just gained the win lottery. And I would rate wind probably the weakest element out of the 3, just by the fact of dex viability. But warrior is what's holding up wind. So overall, I would say looking at our individual champions, and I'll give you a moment to pause to look at this before I start putting more to the board. Alrighty. Overall, Xander. I'm going to rate Xander a B tier champion. I think he is really good. He has 2 options for his level 3. The reveal one's just so much better. He has options for builds. His cards feel fun. His mechanic seems fun. He can even mess around with preparation counters, so needed. Tristan, overall, I'm rating as a C champion. She needs support. She needs help. And Fractured Crown's going to bring that for her, but until then, she is not good. If you want to play Assassin, play Xander. Even though I know people like Tristan. I do too. Hoping. Sylvie, I'm going to rate Sylvie as a B tier champion. She's okay. I feel like it's a very beginner-friendly champion because it's just play allies and swing at people. But if your opponent knows how to counter that and play against it, Sylvie does not feel good at all. Rai, I'm going to go ahead and put Rai as a A-tier champion. His whole scheme about levels and free spells and dealing damage based on levels, super cool idea. It gets old after a while, so I hope they introduce more stuff for him, but he's good. Mordred, I'm going to go ahead and put at a C-tier champion. He suffers the problem Tristan suffers from. If you want to play warrior, just play Lorraine. Lorraine's level 2 is so much better than Mordred. You don't need all that floating memory yet. Keep in mind, yet. Fractured Crown will make Mordred so much better, and I want to revisit this because I'm pretty sure he'll move up to at least B tier. Merlin, I want to say Merlin's B tier. She's cool. She does stuff, but at the same time, she needs help. It's worse Rai. I really like the idea of taking memory from your opponent, so it's harder for them to level up, but that's way too slow, as a bunch of these decks can put floating memory or just pay from their hand, consequence-free, just from the amount of value. And Lorraine, easy S tier. It's probably the best champion they've printed just by cards alone. Her level 3's really good. Level 2 in itself. Sometimes when I play Fire Lorraine, I just stay level 2. Level 2 wins me the game. And then Alan, I'm sorry, my boy Alan, bottom of C tier. You need something. You need more melodies and harmonies. You need something to help you out here, and I'm sorry. But yeah, so overall, those are what I would rate the champions in every element, and then the champions overall rating. I thank you guys for staying tuned to my tier list video, and I hope you catch my next one. Have a wonderful day.